Annie, welcome to CGTN.
Thank you very much, Tianwei.
After talking to you many years during the Liang Hui, this is the very first time that we sit down to talk about your stories.
Thank you.
1979, you, before many people in Hong Kong, already came to the mainland. What was it about?
Actually, I first came to the mainland in 1978, invited by the late Mr. Deng Xiaoping. They were trying to have an open door policy. So 1978, December the 12th, I remember correctly, I first entered mainland from Hong Kong to Luohu and then Guangzhou, and then we took a small plane to Chengdu. And that opened my eyes about learning our country.
What was that occasion about?
Because Deng Xiaoping wanted the Hong Kong Chinese to see how we can serve the open door policy. So in order to do things properly, we are supposed to come and take a look and see the opportunities and how we can help to open up the country. We knew it's going to be a difference between the lifestyle and the method of approach of doing things. And I was ready to understand how we can get things done. And it's the first time I tried to come into the country to take a look at what is the present status. So I was really ready for anything exciting, and I think I'm trying to be adventurous.
So it seems that you're trying to build a bridge between the mainland and Hong Kong at the time, bringing the overall modern company onto the mainland, establishing the first ever joint venture here on the mainland after decades of planned economy is certainly very impressive.
So in 1979, when we were invited by Sin Marshal in Hong Kong, Mr. Wong Kong said, Mr. Wu, we want you to go to Beijing and to meet the people from CAAC because they wanted to do some joint venture. So I volunteered to go with my father, and we could not speak any Putonghua, but I think it's very important. We are Chinese. We want to do something to serve our country. Yeah. And I think it's very important when you think alike and try to do things on the same platform and try to do things trying to be very effective. I think that's more important than the language. And there's no barrier when you try to work things together.
But at the very beginning of establishing that joint venture, I understand there has been a lot of challenges that you have to overcome together at the time with those from the mainland.
When I first came to talk to the caterers that they sent to talk to me in the Beijing hotel, only two were there, and they were smoking the cigarettes in my face. I thought that's very interesting because I have only two chairs for them to sit, and I was sitting on my bed to discuss business. They told me they only have a chance to give me 4 years of a joint venture. I said, 4 years, I can't get my return on investment. It's 5 years. So I said the best thing is, why don't we 4 plus 4 is 8 years. 8 is a lucky number. And then starting from the 4th year...
And they agreed?
They have to listen to my explanation first. And I said, starting from 5th year, I sell 10% back to you. 6th year, 10%, 7th year, 10%. By the end of the 8th year, all the 49% sell it back to you. And then you make more money because you get the dividend more as the years later on in the business.
So, Annie, you were a tough negotiator.
Well, I was very simple and direct to the point because I have no legal advisor. I was only by myself, and I was talking to two people who are the caterers, and they have not been talking business since 1949. So I have to rethink about how I can explain things simply to people who have not been in the business field for the last 50 years. And I think it's very important to have the trust first. Then they can convince themselves and they have to report to their leaders.
How did you establish the trust?
I think it's very important to let people know exactly what you're thinking, and exactly what is your approach, and why you have that line of thinking. And since we are Chinese from Hong Kong, we just tell them we're here to help to do something for the open door policy. As there's nothing behind there's no hidden agenda.
Were you nervous? Because this is, as we said many times, the very first time to do something like this.
I enjoy very much because I never feel any nervous in doing things in any unknown areas. But I think it's very important to convince people that we can work together along the same thinking and to have a trust between one another first before we can do things.
Right. But of course, eventually the contract would not be an easy document to draw. I understand you have to work on it a lot.
Yeah, because at that time they only have 14 principles about the guidelines of how to do a joint venture. So we can't sign anything.
Very general principles.
Very general principle is the guidelines. Then we translated our Hong Kong company laws and memorandum of articles, certificate of incorporation from English to Chinese. Of course, it's Hong Kong Cantonese Chinese. And we took all the Cantonese Chinese, the whole lot, to Beijing to check with our CAC people. And eventually, by November 1979, our documents are still under review. So can you do something for 6 months and open up the flight kitchen? So my father said, well, let's see how we can do a roundabout way, because we have no joint venture, we have no agreement, we have no mandate and no letter. And my father said, we are Chinese, we'd like to do something to help the country. So I shake hands with you, and then we go back and cover up our 5 million Hong Kong dollars first.
So that is one handshake.
Just one handshake, and then my father went back to Hong Kong. We actually got the 5 million Hong Kong dollars. Part of it is from my father's. Part of it was from the companies we asked to come to join with us on the joint venture. Then we ordered the equipment by end of November, because if we don't order equipment, the shipment cannot be on time to send to Beijing, because some equipment has to be ordered from USA. Some of them can make in Hong Kong. And then we started to look to set up the flight kitchen to do the reconstruction.
As business people, without contract, without agreement, without the signing, without lawyers' involvement, were you concerned about what ifs? Where does the trust come from?
My father trusted Deng Xiaoping's words.
As simple as that?
Just as simple as that, because we have no relationship in any what we call government officials. The only thing was my father read Deng Xiaoping's comments, and he said, well, China has to open up because it needs an open door policy.
And your father had a word with Mr. Deng Xiaoping before that?
No.
Never?
Never.
But really trust him
as
a leader?
As a leader, because he has that charisma. When he promised you something, we felt that he would try to get things done. Because we met the late Mr. Xi Zhongxun in Hong Kong, when he came through Hong Kong in January 1979. And he asked my father, oh, Mr. Wu, you should come to see me in Guangdong. I'm running the Guangdong province. Come and do some business. So that was the first time we were able to meet a government official.
1979 to today, decades passed. The mainland is different, Hong Kong is different. What do you make of this process for you to grow as an entrepreneur from Hong Kong and as a woman coming from Hong Kong, work on this initiative on your own?
Well, I'm very fortunate. My father never treated me as a daughter. He treated me as a person he wants to train for business. It's not the gender issue, it's how you think, how you react to business situations, and how you can consider to have the right business partners. So when I first came to talk about business with our counterparts, I never considered myself as a woman, but I have to consider how I can convince them that we can work for a long-term relationship. It's not a short-term business. And when we came to the mainland, our thought was not business first, but country first. We want to serve the country for the open door policy. At the same time, we don't want to lose our own investment because it's our own money. It's not borrowings from the bank. So if the business is successful, we can also prove an example to foreign investors too. So we try our best to understand I would use the word ideology, because I was brought and educated in Hong Kong. So my education is westernization education, but at the same time we learn about Chinese history and Chinese culture because we are bilingual. And so we can think on two different ways. In mainland China, we think about how we can work with our counterparts because we knew they have a new way of running the country since 1949 because it's a new China. So we have to think along the thinking process to discuss issues. At the same time, from Hong Kong, we have to protect our investment. Yes. How to see that we can steer the business properly. So it's very interesting. It's a way of philosophy.
It is very
psychology.
interesting because over the decades, you see the relationship between the mainland and Hong Kong have changed so much. Do you think any of the things that you have done, you've learned, could be of reference to what is going on right now?
So in between those 30-odd years, I think we have been able to develop a lot of trust and also sharing information for cities like Beijing and other areas to develop their practices, business practices, and have understanding of business ethics. It's not easy.
But you know, having talked about all of this, China's mainland changed so much. It is aspired to be to the top of the world. Do you see a different kinds of exchange that is going on now between the mainland and Hong Kong?
And I'm very happy to see the 30-odd years we have seen our country to develop progress at 100 years, a century. That was what I expected within my traveling back and forth, because I can see the drive, the vitality, and the education of the people living in the mainland. And of course, for people who have not been able to travel inside the country, they are shocked and they are confused and they are a little bit what we call concerned. But if they can come to the mainland, I think they would want to work to be a part to share in this development. So when we first came here, we were really bringing in a lot of new know-how and knowledge. Nowadays, I think Hong Kong, our role is to serve as a platform to assist all the state-owned enterprises or the private entrepreneurs to use Hong Kong as the platform to do business globally and to practice global practices.
Not only that, you're also helping young people in Hong Kong to really understand the culture of the mainland and the culture of China as a whole. I understand it takes a lot of effort.
It does, because I started up the Education Foundation in Hong Kong in 1998. So from 1998 until the year 2007, I personally, together with some friends, sponsored 10,000 students to come to the mainland, not with any government funding. The parents will pay 2,500 Hong Kong dollars per person. We sponsor 3,500 per person. And then we took them to come to see the raising of the flag at 3:30 in the morning, and then go to the grave of the people to listen to one of the leaders to say, well, you are the young people from Hong Kong, you have to serve Hong Kong and to serve the country and learn well, education. And I think it's very good to implant a new way of thinking to these young people, because up to now, they are already in their 30s. And some of them, they met me when I went through the immigration. They said, oh, well, we went with you, we never forget our trip. And now they're serving in the police force, they're serving in teachers, and whenever we met them, they said, well, this is the most important turning point in our life.
Did they explain why they say that?
Because they never imagined they can come to Tiananmen Square and watch the raising of the flag. They never imagined they can come to enter the grave of the people. To them, it's a complete, I would say, culture shock. But I think it's very important to give young people a chance to open up their eyes when they're in the teens. And so since then, I also established a school in Hong Kong, because I need a platform to continue my way of educating young people to serve not only Hong Kong, but to serve our country, to be the future leaders.
Many say that you have this very typical Hong Kong spirit, the can-do spirit. And from your story, many say this is exactly what people should have in mind these days in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I think in our days, when we were brought up in Hong Kong was very poor, but we thought that any difficulty is the way for you to meet the challenge and overcome the difficulties. And you never say no to difficulties. So in my lifetime, my father always gave me a lot of chance to overcome things that we thought that we can never overcome, such as like working in Expo 70 in Osaka, just right after my graduation from university. So I worked from about 8 in the morning until 10 at night time, 7 days a week. And then I was working in Japan. I could not even speak a word of Japanese, but I can read body language. I can communicate with people.
Do you tell the young people in Hong Kong about your stories?
I did. I told them, I say, if you have difficulties, think of how to overcome the difficulty. Don't say, well, I can't do it. But you say, well, what can I do? And how I can get things done. I think that's a very important motto for myself.
lot of your friends and your colleagues have been waiting for you outside this interview room.
Yeah.
Shall we invite them in?
Please do.
Okay, let's do.
meet them.
Please come in. 你们好，你们好。
小马，这么多年辛苦你了，谢谢。Thank you.
Thank
you. Nice to meet you too. 哎，你好。哎，
吴小姐
你好，
身体挺好的。
谢谢你哈，
您来了，每次您来公司都到底下我们厨房视察视察。今儿您还去吗？
这跟你去嘛。
好
，Let's go. Thank you.
这边请。
Let's go and get and change our uniform first.
Okay, great. Hygiene very important, huh,
Yeah,
Miss
it's very
Wu?
important. We have to have the right uniform and also go through the sterilization first.
All right.
Yeah.
So how often do you come and visit the factory?
Well, whenever I come to Beijing for meetings, then we also come here to visit.
I need to wear the hat as well. Okay.
We have to.
All right.
Because we want to make sure that we don't have any the head dropping out.
Okay. Okay.
Now we have to go through the. Let's go into the place for the sterilization.
All right. This is the place.
Yeah.
Do we need to open it?
We need to open it. Yeah. All right.
Come in first. Yeah. Now we are all clean
Yeah. All clean and
to
also.
get rid of the dust.
Yeah.
This way.
Okay. Let's go through.
Baking area. A lot of already going on here.
This is the German, especially for the Lufthansa Airlines.
I see.
And they like the rye bread. About 30 of these.
Certain of these
Yeah, every day for the.
every day.
Yeah. This is all imported from Europe.
I see.
Especially for the Lufthansa Airlines.
Okay.
And these are all the other raw materials too. Pumpernickel and the others are all imported.
I see. 这些都是咱们这些